Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today I thought we'd do another quick LOLA Land Rover update. And as you can see, things have progressed somewhat since my last update. We've got the engine in, and that has been well actually, no, I won't say it was been a nightmare, because considering I was doing it on my own, I didn't have really anyone to give me a lift on this. It actually went in fairly easily. Once I'd done a few things, what I did have to do was I had to take the engine mount off here, and there's another one on the other side, just to give me that a bit of playroom while I whittled it into position. And I did have to remove the turbo. We should have the turbo here, and that's going to be the next big thing I'm going to have to do. I'll just go and get it. Just bear with me a sec. Ooh, where are you? There it is. Okay, now this is the turbocharger off this engine, and the problem that we've got, obviously this engine's out of a Land Rover Discovery. 1970s Land Rovers didn't have turbo diesel engines in them, and the problem is with this, if we see if you can see what I'm yeah you can. This basically bolts up like that to the manifold, and as you can see, it won't actually fit into position at the moment. You can get it very close, but if you look here, the exhaust pipe there basically hits the chassis, and if it's actually fitted properly into position, the air intake for the turbo will be in the wing here. So what we need is that up there like that, and we need that round a bit further so the exhaust is on this side here. So what we're going to have to do is what's known as clocking a turbo. Basically we take some bolts out of the turbo, and there's a little ring in there that we have to slacken off. And if we're slacking them off, we can actually, I don't know if you can see this or not, it's rather heavy to hold this, but basically we slacken that part of the turbo off, and we rotate it round so that part there faces up here, and then where it's mounted, where the little valve actuator is mounted there, we just have to undo them, and we'll have to drill some new holes further round and tap them to take them bolts there, and that's that side of the turbo taken care of. The exhaust side here, and this is going to be the fun bit, we've got to take them bolts out. I've got one out there already actually. We need to take them 3 bolts out, and then we can turn that 1 degree round, put it back on, and that will send the exhaust the other side of the chassis rail, and that will mean we can actually reuse this turbo. The other option I could have, which I don't really want to do, let me just put that away on its shelf. Excuse me. Oops. Bring you around here. The other option we can do is, as we've got the manifold there, that's off the exhaust manifold, is these are the oil feed pipes for the turbo. We can basically either blank them off or link them together, and we can make a flange there. I'd have to make it out of mild steel to meet that bolt pattern, and then basically just bring a standard exhaust straight off there. It'd have to be custom made. I could make it out of some mild steel tubing, bend that round, take it down, and run the engine as what's known as a DI, a direct injection engine, without the turbo. Now if I do that, this engine will produce about 80 horsepower just as a DI. The original petrol would have produced about 75 horsepower, so it would be comparable, but I want that turbo on there. I'm not going to run it at the full 109 horsepower that this engine's capable of, because it would be a bit silly with the age of the vehicle, but I'm going to aim for around the 90-95 horsepower mark, which means that I'll get the turbo clocked and get that exhaust moved round so I can use a decent wide bore exhaust. But what I'm not going to do is around this side. We've got these 2 pipes here, and they would have in the Discovery gone to an oil cooler, I'm going to delete that from this, which means it basically won't be quite as powerful as it was in the Discovery, but it makes it makes connecting the radiator up and all that side of it a lot easier. I can actually use the Land Rover, series Land Rover radiator, that will be no problem, with an electric fan in front of it. And it won't overheat or anything, because it's not going to be anywhere near as strained as it was in the Land Rover Discovery. This is actually a quite considerably lighter vehicle, so the little loss of power there isn't going to cause a problem. But so the main thing is that the engine is actually there, it's on its mounts, and I can actually eyeball things now and see what's in the way, what needs changing, what's going to fit where and what have you. Obviously all the belts and everything else. What I do still have to do, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it now or actually get the engine running first, is change the timing belt on this thing. Because the engine, when I took the Discovery, this came out of off the road, it had just turned over to 120,000 miles, that engine. Literally, I think it had 159,900 on it when I scrapped that vehicle. Which means that this is just on due for a cam belt swap. It was literally, you change the cam belts in these every 60,000 miles, or at least you used to. I think the new cam belts you can get for them, it's more like 80,000 miles. But when this was made and when it had its last cam belt change, it would be one that was due for 60,000. And it's sat in my garage now for 10 years. So obviously that the cam belt in there, I would not be happy really using it. I may fire it up initially just to get the engine running on it, but I wouldn't even rev it up very high with a cam belt that was that old. So that will be coming off. That's going to be another fun job, is changing the cam belt. I've been watching lots of YouTube videos on doing the cam belt swap on a 200 TDI, so I'm confident I can do it myself. As well as that, what else have we got done? We move up here. We have the brake system plumbed back in. I'm just waiting to have a little blank plug for there to arrive, which I've ordered, because this was a dual inline system brake with the servo on it, and I'm using it on a single line system. So this side here is fine, but we just need to blank off basically where the other outlet would be there. Other things I need to do, this is the fuel filter, the fuel reservoir, sorry, the fuel filter. Yeah, it is the fuel filter, the diesel filter. And ideally, I'd like that mounted up on, oops, peeing a bit of diesel out as well. I'd like that mounted up on the bulkhead there where it's out of harm's way, and the pipe work at the moment won't quite allow me to do that. So I think I'll have to probably have some new pipes made up for this. If not, I'll have to cut this pipe, splice a new piece of pipe in, so I can actually shift it up to where I really want it fitting. But I mean, they're all little something or nothing things like this. All I'll have to do is basically cut these off and make an adapter up to just loop the oil back into itself, and that'll be absolutely fine. But yeah, obviously then I've got lots and lots of wiring to do to integrate the old Land Rover Discovery wiring harness here in with the Series 3 harness there. But I enjoy doing bits of wiring, so that's not really an issue. The clutch is all plumbed up. We've got the clutch master cylinder there. We've got I'll show you actually. I'll take you around to the other side of the Land Rover and show you in here. We've got, oops, there we go. In fact, I don't know if what I'll do is take you off the camera and just quickly give you a quick tour in here. I think I showed you in my last LOLA update. We now have a full set of pedals, but like I said, the clutch and the brake pedal there are now actually connected up. We have a nice shiny new, let's just take that out there so you can see it. We have a nice shiny new clutch slave cylinder there. We have all new bracket, well, it's not new, I managed to get a good second-hand Series 2A bracket. This is a clutch bracket. They're actually quite hard to get hold of. I was really lucky to get a slightly damaged one very cheap on eBay and repair it myself. And obviously put a new save cylinder on it, which that's weeping a little bit of fluid at the moment. I think I just need to tighten the yeah, I haven't quite finished bleeding that yet, but we'll get that all finished and all bled up, and that'll be happy. But the clutch system does work. When I press the pedal, it does engage and disengage the clutch. Yeah, I think I just need to tighten the bleed screw up there. I don't think I tightened it very tightly when I was messing with it, getting the air out of the system. So I'll probably have to re-bleed that. I'll have to wait for my mate to come round, because it's a two-man job. Even though they're this close, it's a bit of a pain trying to push that pedal in and do a spanner on there at the same time. So like I said, that's another one for when my mate comes round again. But yeah, that's what I've been up to on the LOLA Land Rover project. Like I said, as you can see, our engine is nicely installed there. I'm super pleased with that. So I've been doing this work mostly on my own. I didn't have my friend round when I was shoving that in. Like I said, I was absolutely amazed it actually slotted in as easy and as well as it did. Little bit of swearing, a little bit of humping and heaving, but it definitely wasn't as big a job as I was first anticipating it would be. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to leave it there for now. This literally was just a quick little update to show you the Land Rover. Oh, the other thing I've done, if you look down here, as you can see, we've got a nice painted up axle there. I've changed one of the track rod ends because it was damaged, all the boot was split on it. So I put a new track rod end on, and that was fun because they sent me twice the wrong side track rod end, even though I'd sent it back saying that's the wrong side. The wrong, one's left-handed thread, one's right-handed thread, and I needed the right-hand thread version, and they sent me two of the left-hand thread version, which was great fun for I weren't even using eBay or anything. I was using a national parts supplier who you'd think would know what part of a Land Rover was what, but no, twice they cocked that up. But anyway, I got a right one in the end, and that's fitted. And so I've painted all the axle up, and the differential has been changed. If we have a look down here, this big beast of a thing there, that is a new one. Oops, ow, get up. That's the one that I've taken out. Now that's the old 4.7 gear ratio. That one in there is out of a Range Rover, and that's the 3.5 gear ratio. So basically it just gives me a slightly higher ratio gears through all the gears. Also first is a little bit higher, second and third, fourth are all going to be a little bit higher than they would have been on the original differentials, but with an engine which is a lot more powerful here, and the fact that I'm not going to be running my overdrive. I do have an overdrive for the gearbox, but with the extra torque and power of this engine, it would just destroy it in no time. The old rangy axle, the old rangy differentials are designed for some serious power because they were designed to have a V8 behind them. So they will last a lot longer, and they'll give me the extra higher gearing that I want with the better engine. I've still got to do exactly the same thing at the back, because there's another, obviously with it being four-wheel drive, we have another differential down there, and I haven't changed that one yet. I haven't put the rear prop on yet at the moment either. It's just got the front prop on, and that's all been cleaned up and redone, basically all re-greased. All the UJs and everything have been checked on it, and they're absolutely perfect, so that's been reinstalled. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed that little update on LOLA. So once again I will say thanks for watching, and goodbye.